Alright guys, this is Budget EDCer here, and this is going to be my review of the Kershaw Leek. Something you might notice about this leek, if you're familiar with the line of knives, is that this is the completely black coated one. They call this the tactical leek. I wouldn't call it a tactical knife in the least. It's a utility knife. It's fairly small. It's very, very slick. You can't get much traction on it. So that title just is not fitting. They should call it the blacked out model or something. Anything other than the tactical leek. Any knives in this line, like the chive, the shallot, any of those knives, should not be used in a tactical situation. Now, sure, anything that's pointy and sharp can be employed in that use, but it's not ideal. So, I would steer clear of calling this a tactical knife. It is a frame lock, which some people will argue is stronger than a liner lock, but as long as you're not abusing your knives, it really should not matter how strong the lockup is, especially on a knife like this. Maybe it might matter a little more on cheaper knives, lower end knives, but on stuff like Kershaw and Buck and Spyderco put out, I'm going to say the strength is almost exactly the same on a frame and a liner lock. Some people don't like the fact that this doesn't have a lock bar extension disc or whatever it is that they put on the zero tolerance 0560 series or the Hinderer XM18 and XM24. It's to keep you from overextending the lock bar and bending it so it doesn't lock up correctly. But you're going to have to over torque this quite a bit to get it to do that. Because I carried this without a clip sometimes, actually a lot of the time when I carried this in my watch pocket, because there was no need for the clip. And I pushed that over a lot, wearing gloves, with my bare hands, all kinds of different scenarios, and never came close to damaging the lockup. Now, the lockup on this is perfect. I keep the pivot point adjusted. Something you may have noticed from a couple of my other videos is that the pivot point on them is maybe not adjusted as much. Reason being, I carry this one a lot more than I carry any of my other knives. Mainly because I was planning on reviewing it, and I was trying to alternate between carrying the knives so I'd have a feel for them. And for another reason, I like the knife a lot. Some people may not. Alright, so let's move on. I think this is 14C 28N Sandvik steel. If it's not, it's 440C. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I think it's the Sandvik. It holds an edge great. I mean, it's not some super steel, like I always say, S30V or VG10, maybe even CPM 154. But it's an adequate steel for EDC purposes, and it's going to do everything you need it to do. Cut things, hold an edge relatively well, and take an edge well. Something I did not like about this knife, though, or a couple things actually. If you see right there, there's the lanyard hole, and then there's a big oblong gap under the lanyard hole. I'm going to talk about the lanyard hole first right quick. Yeah, it will be quick, because the problem is it's too small. And that's where it stops. It's just too small. I cannot feed 550 cord through it, even after I've gutted the 550 cord and it's hollow. I don't like it, and it's so narrow that I'm going to have to tie whatever lanyard I put on it instead of running it through it and then doubling it back on itself. So it's going to make me have to cut the lanyard off when I want to take it off. So that's just a hassle, and it's why I haven't put a lanyard on it before now. The second problem, that big oblong gap under the lanyard hole, is the next problem. It was a safety mechanism that kept the blade locked in your pocket or whatever. The reason they put that on there is because some states view it as an automatic knife or an illegal knife if an assisted knife doesn't have a safety of some sort on it. I find that ridiculous because I can open my Buck Vantage just as easily as I can open this. And my Buck Vantage didn't feel the need to have a safety device on it. My God, I can't talk. Oh. So I took it off, and it was just this screw right here, if I can get it, and a little piece of plastic. The piece of plastic broke promptly as soon as I got it out, and I was just keeping that Torx screw around because I thought I might need it for some sort of knife project in the near future, Maybe use it as a screw to put the pocket clip on if I were to strip one out or lose one. Something. It's useful to have that size of torque screw around since so many knives use it. Don't really know what else to say about the knife. It's an excellent knife. I would buy one for the money. I probably will end up buying another one. I'm looking into a blim of the combination edge version. Not the combination edge. That would imply that it was partially serrated. I don't remember what it's called, but the cutting edge is one type of steel bonded to another type of steel, which makes up the rest of the knife, so that you can have a cutting edge that's a higher grade steel and the body of the knife be a lower grade steel, so you have the cutting performance of the higher end knife with the price of the lower end steel. I may buy that, I may not, it just depends, but that's the plan in the near future. This is Budget EDC here, signing off.